Yo, what's good? It's your boy Dot from Dot Me Now Coaching and Entertainment. For coaching, my links are down below. I also have several different spiritual readings down below, such as galactic readings and spirit guide readings and all kinds of stuff. There's a Discord down below. Go join that along with an astral projection course that is super fire. Social medias are down below. Everything is down below. And now it's time to get into this video. You feel me? So, in this video, we are going to be talking about some of my favorite alien races. I have essentially five. It's more specifically kind of like seven, but it's five. You'll see what I mean as I continue this video. But so far, I got five lined up. I might do a part two of this, but so far, I got five lined up. And I'm gonna kind of like explain like who they are, my relationship to them, and my history with them, along with different things that they taught me and why I like them so much. So without further ado, let's get into the first alien race. All right, boom. So starting off, we have the Octorians. These are some of my favorite beings ever. If you guys know me, you guys know that I have very heavy in Octorian heritage. I have incarnated as an Octorian many times in my past lives, and my affiliation with these beings is super strong. Um, if you guys don't know who the Octorians are, these are a race of beings that live in the star system of Octorus. Hence the name Octorian, obviously, you feel me? And they're like insanely intelligent. They're known for their spiritual intelligence, and they may also get known for like their advancement or their advanced technological knowledge and stuff like that. Now with that being said, when it comes to my history, I actually at first didn't even like these beings. Like when I was first born inside this galaxy, I was a Lyran. And during the Lyran Wars, the Altorians said that they wouldn't help us, right? They said, listen, don't trust the reptilians. If y'all do, they gonna fuck you up. When they fuck you up, we not gonna help you. You feel me? Now they still did do like in like the very beginning, they did help with like getting refugees, like helping Lars escape the planet and stuff. Like that was a thing. They did help a tiny bit, but they stood on that shit. They stood on that shit, bro. They really didn't help like that. And I always felt a way about that shit. You feel me? Over time, though, at some point after the end of various different wars within inside this galaxy, I decided to incarnate as one of them. You know, I wanted to learn various things, and I knew that they were very smart. And when I got here, just the way that they moved and the way that they taught me, I fucked with it because they weren't like nerds. Like there was one time where they dead ass just threw me on a planet and they said, "Okay, you're gonna live on this planet, and your task is to ascend yourself and this planet into a higher plane of existence." They say we have some like imagine it had like tea, like certain herbs and tea, you could say, you feel me, that would like if I took it would help me and stuff like that. But they just kind of threw me on there and they said, all right, now we're gonna dip, and they kind of just rose up to a higher plane right in front of my fucking eyes. You feel me? Now, granted, there was a period of time in my past lives where I've kind of already did that in a way, but just understand, I kind of fucked with that. I was like, oh, these niggas don't play no games. Okay, they not like no little nerdy ass. According to my like them niggas will be on some according to my calculations, but they not like lame. You feel me? It's kind of swagged out. They not pushovers, nothing like that. You feel me? So that's kind of like how I first got introduced to them. At first, I ain't like them like that, but I ended up loving them because they taught me so much stuff, and I understood so much more about reality, and that's why I kind of liked them, just because these niggas knew everything. and I wanted to know everything. So they were the most, you know, they were the most compatible race to talk to during that period of time. Now, here are some of the things that they taught me. Now, this will not encapsulate everything. These are just some of like the first few things that came to my mind. Right. Number one, of course, is all about time. They taught me what time really is. They taught me how to view different timelines. They taught me how to create timelines, which I also got the help of Blue Avians with that. I just made a video on my Patreon talking about that like a grip ago. Oh, and by the way, also on my Patreon, I made a video about the galactic origins of Arcturians. If you guys want like their in-depth history of like how they came to be and stuff like that, I have that on my Patreon. You feel me? But anyway, I learned a lot about what time is, viewing timelines, how to make timelines, how to manipulate my perception of time, just all things time. They taught me about that shit. You feel me? They also taught me a lot, like especially when like I first was connecting with these beings. Because for those of you guys who don't know, right? I ain't gonna say so for a certain period of time, I kind of felt like I was an Arcturian. You feel me? And during that period of time, I also had a reading with Ryan Cropper. And during my spirit guide reading with Ryan Cropper, he said that he saw a verse. He said that he saw like he literally said like a ancestor. It's literally how he said it. He said it looked like me, but but it had a blue face with like orange, with yellow under the eyes, like yellow lines under the eyes. You know. So I'm like, okay, I know I have like this blue nigga that looked like me. Maybe that's some Arcturian shit. It was actually my vegan form, you feel me? But still, like, I don't know. I just always thought I was an Arcturian. Well, I ain't gonna say always, but for a certain period of time, I thought I was an Arcturian heavily, you feel me? This was before truly knowing my starseed origins, getting past lives, any of that, you know. But then one day I joined a live, and it was my boy King Cash. It was his live. At this point, we were not cool. You feel me? I never talked to him. Didn't really know who he was. I've seen him every here and then, and clearly I followed him. But I didn't really know much about him. You know. Anyway, I joined his live. He was giving readings. I'm like, hold up, this guy could give out readings. I asked him what my alien shit was. The nigga said Lyran. He said Orion. He said, oh, also some Lyran and Arcturian inside there too. You feel me? Which are like some of like my biggest races, you know? Now, I'm saying all this because at some point, now that I saw that I wasn't tripping, I started trusting myself more and more and more and more and more. And I got into contact with the Arcturians, you know, like telepathically and stuff like that, you know. And one of the first things they taught me was how to analyze energy, how to pick up on energy, but then also decipher through it and really understand what you're picking up on. This is how I got really good at doing my galactic Akashic readings because I learned how to feel energy and how to pick out what energy it is. Even if I don't understand like what race this is, because I do talk to people that have certain alien lives, which I haven't seen before, you feel me? I can still be like, oh, this nigga has some shit going on that I've never seen before. In fact, it kind of stands out a bit more nowadays, you know? And like, I could still like kind of like see the form and stuff like that and get like a basic gist of it, but I may not always, I may have never seen it before, you feel me? So, yeah, like it taught me a lot about how to analyze energy and understand what I'm picking up on and how to really cipher through it and find out what this is. They also taught me how to kind of open up to information in general, kind of like how to hook my mind up to information and whatever I want to know because Arcturians have the ability to find out whatever the fuck they want to. Like they could just be like, damn, I want to fucking know about this thing right here. They could just open up and get this shit. They taught me how to do the same. So whenever I want to know something, I do really just have a meditation, just open up to that shit. You feel me? Now I do tend to mix I do tend to mix that with all the with blah, blah, blah. I do tend to mix that with also looking things up. Like I'll be like, yo, I want to know about something real quick. Okay, boom, I'm about to meditate on it, right? I get some information, but then this information opens up certain questions, and then also sometimes I want to confirm what I got and stuff like that. Certain shit I can't confirm, you feel me? Like, for example, I can't confirm the existence of a certain alien race by looking that shit up on Google. Cause some alien races, like two that I'm gonna mention inside this video, haven't been mentioned online by anyone. At least from what I've seen so far. Like no one's mentioned them at all. You feel me? So that shit I can't confirm by looking up, you feel me? But I could still like leave my body and whatever the fuck. But certain shit I can look up, you know, like more like scientific like things and stuff like that. I'll get information that opens up more questions, but also I want to confirm the information. You feel me? So now I look it up and then shit be true and stuff like that, you know? They also taught me a lot about the structure of reality. I was also taught about that with the help of the Inataka, the Egyptians and the Halls of Amenti, and just by also going to the Omniversal Hall of Records, you know, and the Andromeda helped a little bit too with that. But they taught me a lot about the structure of reality, mainly about the 12 planes and the different dimensions like length, width, height, time, space, light, things like that, you know. They also taught me a lot about telepathy and how to get better with telepathic communication, especially with other beings in the cosmos. It's kind of harder with humans, but with like other beings that already do telepathy, it's way easier, you know? And they also taught me a lot about how to interface with reality. I was also taught a lot about that with the help of the Inataka though. But when I say interface with reality, essentially how to communicate with reality. And for them, it was mainly about like how to kind of like hook your mind up to the greater mind that's all around you and kind of connect with the intelligence that's all around you and communicate with it and stuff like that. You feel me? So yeah. That's what the Altorians did for your boy. Now it's time for the next alien race. Yeah, me. Oh, okay, boom. So now we got the Lyrans. Oh, we got the Lyrans. By the way, I didn't even fully cover the Joan, my bad. When it comes to this video, I don't really know what race is coming up next. I just have certain pictures saved, but I don't know which picture is which. So I just click on a picture and whatever race pops up, I'm like, okay, bet, word. So yeah, now we fucking with the Lyrans. So when it comes to Lyrans, right? Lyrans are the oldest beings in this galaxy. They're not the oldest in the universe, but they were essentially the first beings to incarnate physically inside our galaxy. They incarnated in the Lyra constellation. And Lyrans nowadays they're like pretty much like warriors and protectors of the cosmos, you feel me? And in fact they're some of like the best warriors, you know? And they're linked to higher god beings called the Anuhazi, which I really should have included that shit inside here. You feel me? I'll say that, you know, I'll just say the Anuhazi for a separate video. But the Anuhazi are pretty much like the god versions of the Lyrans, essentially. You feel me? And they taught me things that I'm not about to mention inside this video that I was thinking about mentioning, like with inside of like the span of this like 30 seconds. But I realized that for part two, I can just talk about them inside there. You feel me? But anyway, yeah, the Lyrans, they started off as feline and everything like that. They eventually became human by mixing with primate genes. I made a video for the Lyrans that's on my Patreon and on my YouTube about their origins. So go check that out if you want to understand more about them. But when it comes to my history, I actually was a Lyran. You know, one of my first lifetimes, actually, I'll just say my first lifetime in this galaxy was as a Lyran. You know, I'm very heavily Lyran. That's very deep in my soul. And my history with them is that, you know, I don't always like to share this, but I was a princess in Lyra. I used to be a female, yeah, whatever the fuck, you feel me? And I fought a lot in the Lyran Wars. And in fact, I even rediscovered the Red Lion form, you know, which I already made a video for that, but it's gonna come out after this video about awakening the Red Lion. I rediscovered the red felines and kind of like helped to reestablish them and stuff like that. But at some point, my shit got destroyed, bro. They destroyed my fucking home and shit. Now I eventually found a new one inside Leo, and that starts the whole entire Leo takeover, which leads to the 1,000 Years War and stuff like that. I talk a lot about that on my Patreon, I cover my own galactic history, starting off from Lyra, then how my planet got destroyed, then how I got to Leo, then how niggas took over Leo, and eventually started the 1,000 Years War, where I was traveling through all these different portals, going to other places like Xylanthia and stuff like that. It's so much shit with that, you feel me? But here are some of the and by the way, nowadays when it comes to the Lyrans, I'll talk to them. They're like family, you know. Like I just talk to them when I want to talk to my fam. You feel me? And they teach me a lot about the power of love and how to fight with love. Like they help me see that love isn't a weakness and that love is actually a power, because love can be weak if you're not using it properly. Like, oh, yeah, you love everybody, so anybody can, walk all over you. Like, nah, it's not like that. They be on some shit like, nigga, if you love your child, you gonna fucking do anything for that child, including, you know what I'm saying, slice, slice, if you know what I'm trying to say. So it's like they teach me about that aspect of love and how love is like a powerful driving force and how it's one of the most powerful forces for fighting. Because whenever you love the cause that you're fighting for, you fight with all your power. You feel me? Um, they also taught me a lot about self sovereignty and the power of living from your soul and your spiritual nature. See, I'm gonna say Laverns. Lyrans are very big on sovereignty, especially because they were enslaved at some point. You feel me? Lyrans are very big on claiming your own self sovereignty and also just like being free in your own power and the power that comes from your soul, you know? It also deals with like their warrior nature and how they like to fight for other beings so that way other beings can be sovereign themselves, you know? So when it comes to sovereignty, they talk about the importance of it, what it even is, and how to know when you're stepping out of your self sovereignty, how to reclaim your self sovereignty, and how living from your soul is the only way to truly become sovereign, and how living from your soul is the most powerful way to live. They taught me all about that. It's really amazing. They taught me a lot also about how to be a leader, what it means to be a leader, what leaders really are, how to properly lead people, how to lead yourself before leading others. They taught me a lot about leadership and how that really looks. They also taught me how to stand on what I believe in and how to remain pure and uninfluenced by outside forces. So, because Lyrans, when they fight for something, they really stand on that shit, bro. They gonna fight for that shit. They stand on that shit. You feel me? Whenever I believe in something, bro, I stand on that shit, bro. Regardless, I stand on that shit. You feel me? And when it comes to like remaining pure, that just means like that. Like being pure don't gotta be like, oh, I'm a virgin. No, it just means like you only live from your soul. It's like you live from your true nature, not from what other people are telling you to do, and not from how other people are telling you to be. It's like fuck all that. You feel me? I'm pure in my own nature, because pure just means to be untainted, right? And tainted by what? Tainted by an outside force that's not yours. If it's not your soul, that shit should not taint you. You should live purely from your soul, because your soul and what your soul wants to do is the only thing that matters in any of your incarnations. What other people say doesn't really matter, because you're only on a certain planet because you wanted to be there for a certain reason, and that reason is carried inside of your soul. You need to be pure inside your soul and not affected by outside forces and outside people. Stand on what you believe in and not what other people want you to believe in. You feel me? So yeah, this what the Lyrans taught me a lot about. You feel me? Now it's time to get to the next race, and let's see what that race is. Yo, this one right. These are some beings that niggas don't talk about for real, bro. This is the Oh, my fault. I forgot it's flipped. Zazmari Alberian. These are the Zazmari. These are the Alberians. And by the way, there's other ones of them too. Like there's Terrazetians that are like they look like this but green. There's the Nebulans look like this but they're black. You know what I'm saying? Um Yeah, these beings actually come from different celestial realms. Like these ones come from the celestial realm of power. These ones come from the celestial realm of wisdom. But at some point, they lowered themselves, right? They're like, yo, instead of being celestials, we're gonna become regular as aliens who live like regular niggas. You feel me? So they incarnated in a place called in a star called Zosma. Zosma's in Leo. These beings incarnated. So the portal to the celestial realm of wisdom. Like if you go through the star Alberio, which is in Syngus, you'll end up, or you can end up in the celestial realm of wisdom. Now, the planet they incarnated on was Kepler 22b. You feel me? Which is called Lamia nowadays. At one point, it was called Islandia. Now it's called Lamia. Um, I talk about both of these beings on Patreon. I already covered the origins and the abilities and the gifts of the Zazmari, and I covered it for the Alberians too on Patreon. And I'll share some of my history with these beings. When it came to these beings right here, the Zazmari, this was this was like right before the 1,000 Years War began, where these beings were having trouble against fighting some evil black lions and like other beings that would like try to fight them too. So I pretty much went to Zosma to help them and stuff like that. You know, then they taught me a few things which I'm gonna mention in a little bit, you know? Now with these beings, I actually incarnated as one of them, but at the same exact time, I was on the planet also as a dragon. I recently actually shared this story on my Patreon in my most recent video talking about my galactic history. You feel me? Yeah, these beings, the Alberians, I was helping them as a dragon, but I was also living as one of them, sharing teachings that I learned from the celestial realm of wisdom. Because before incarnating as one of them, I was actually in the celestial realm of wisdom. And then with what I learned, they told me to go down to where these beings were and to teach them the shit that I learned essentially from their ancestors, from their celestial ancestors. You feel me? And that's how I interacted with these beings, right? And I rediscovered them not too long ago. And here's mainly what they taught me. So with the Zazmari, right? They taught me how to channel life force energy and how to pretty much channel power on all planes of existence and how to express it as force. So in the celestial realm of power, right? There's 12 halls, 12 gates, and 12 chambers. You go through all these things to pretty much master attaining certain life force energies, learning how to use those life force energies, and also learning how to detach from a certain life force energy to acquire a new one. For example, right, to keep it simple, you have physical energy, right, and physical power. But you may need to drop that if you want to hold more etheric energy and etheric power. And you may have to drop that for astral energy and astral power. You feel what I'm trying to say? So they taught me a lot about this, right? About the different energies on every plane of existence and like kind of like how to channel them and how to detach from them and also how to express certain energies externally as force. You feel me? Like how to like blast out energy and stuff like that. You feel me? Not like no Kamehameha shit. It'd be more like if I were to like blow this shit with like psychic power. You feel me? But yeah, they taught me a lot about that. Now, when it comes to like expressing the power as force, I don't really use that in my physical life. You know, I don't really care for stuff like telekinesis. I'm putting in quotes because there's different ways to do it. You could like blast chi at the water bottle. You could also connect with the field of the water, then be moving the field around of it. There's different ways to do telekinesis, but I don't really use I mainly use the teaching for essentially just harnessing different kinds of life force energy for the different planes. You feel me? Like when I need more astral energy, I tap into that and channel that shit. You feel me? Stuff like that. You know. Now with the Alberians, they taught me a lot about, and the thing is also with the Zazmari. I also have an extraterrestrial enlightenment that came from the Zazmar that talked about how to tap into your universal power or something like that. You feel me? Look at the playlist on my Patreon to find that video. There's also one that I made for them. I made a Galactic Origins class for them and an ET Enlightenment about how to obtain virtue through grace. I mean, about how to obtain grace through virtue, because that's what they taught me. They taught me about how to use virtue to obtain grace. So pretty much, right? Virtue. To keep the definition of virtue simple, I'm using it to pretty much mean actions that are in alignment with source. You feel me? Like if you do a virtuous action, you're doing an action that's aligned with source in your spirit. You feel me? And then grace, right? Grace is pretty much being in the goodwill of source in your spirit to the point where like everything works out for you. You feel me? That's how these beings were technically, right? Whenever conflict happened, shit always kind of just worked out for them. You feel me? To the point where like nowadays, bro, if you try to fist fight one of these, bro, they would just be dodging your shit so easily, not even thinking about how to dodge your shit. And that's because since they were so virtuous, they would always do actions that were super duper in tune with their spirit and source. And because of that, source and their spirit kind of just guided them on what to do and kind of just did things for them. You feel me? Like literally. So inside my own life, they taught me about how to become more virtuous. And as a result of this virtue, I'd have more grace. Which is so fucking true. Things have been working so much more easy in my life as I've taken on certain virtues and stuff like that. I swear to God, you feel me? And I teach about some of the stuff in my Patreon, you know? But yeah, the Alberians, bro, these motherfuckers, like, let's say like they were just starving one day, right? An Alberian might just walk out of bed one day and just get the thought to just go down the street. When they go down the street, it's a whole fucking box of food that has never been touched or some shit like that. You feel what I'm saying? Like just random shit like that, bro. That's how the fuck it be for them. You feel me? So yeah, the Zazmari, these beings taught me about how to channel different kinds of life force energy and channel different kinds of power and how to express it as force. And these beings taught me a lot about different kinds of wisdom and how to become more virtuous in order to obtain higher levels of grace and make my life go easier. Now for the next race of beings. Okay, see, now we got the dragons. If y'all know me, y'all know I love dragons. I've made YouTube videos about dragons and kind of like their like where they come from and shit and stuff like that. I made Patreon videos about dragons. I just love me some dragons. So my history with these beings, right? Um, I'll share it from how I know it from my perspective with inside of this galaxy because I'll just keep it simple. I don't like it because when it comes to the dragon shit kind of goes outside this galaxy. You know what I'm saying? And even sometimes beyond the universe and like dealing with like the metaverse and stuff like that. But all that, I'm not going to tap into all that shit. I'll just share it from how I lived it based on my experience with inside this galaxy in a linear way. So pretty much, I've interacted with dragons at different periods in my past lives, and I've kind of been told about my dragon connections. Like during the 1,000 Years War, I would interact with dragons, and even like there'd be points that like okay, let me slow down. During the 1,000 Years War, I was a feline. Felines have the power to access the Lyran spirit. The Lyran spirit is pretty much the spirit that all Lyrans have, and there's different powers that come from the Lyran spirit, and I broke down these powers on my Patreon inside of the ET Enlightenment. Now, when it comes to these powers, one of them pretty much allows you to be taken over by your spirit, and it's like you're not even like fully conscious in that moment. It's kind of like a dream. Now, when I would access those states, I would sometimes prophesize where I'd be like, "You guys think I'm locked up now, but within like the span of like 20 minutes, I'm gonna come in the form of a dragon and I'm gonna destroy shit and free myself." And everyone's like, haha, this guy's tweaking. And then out of nowhere, a dragon comes out of nowhere and fucks him up. And that dragon was just a different aspect of me type shit. You feel me? It was wild shit like that, right? But the true shit really started when in Orion, at one point when I was in Orion, I was trying to help this one planet, but it was taken over by a dragon. Long story short, I ate the dragon and I became one with the dragon. And the dragon that I ate was actually me from a whole different galaxy. Now, with that being said, from there, I eventually, I merged with the dragon, and I always had the form, but I wouldn't fully tap into that dragon again until going to Draco and the Draco Wars and stuff like that. Going to the Draco, doing the Draco Wars, I was fighting my dragon brothers. At some point, I went to Hydra and found out about the Celestial Dragon prophecy and learned about my connection with dragons, and I became this great dragon that had a celestial flame. I became a dragon that had a celestial dragon flame. That pretty much came from the combination of me and all my brother's flames, and this celestial flame linked me to the celestial dragon, and the celestial dragon is like the fucking guardian of the dragon galaxies and all this other shit. You feel me? It's just great prophecy I was attached to and stuff like that. And long story short, bro, just no, nigga. I'm linked as fuck with dragons, nigga. I ate a dragon, became linked with a motherfucker. I even used my dragon form in Sirius one time. You feel me? But I used to fire a dragon form in Sirius one time. You feel me? But then the main shit started when I went to Draco and then got to Hydra and then was doing a whole celestial dragon shit. At some point, I became a celestial dragon and was doing my job as that. I have a golden dragon. As a golden dragon, I was going to different galaxies and just defending them and stuff like that. I have a lot of dragon lifetimes. You feel me? Now, with that being said, here's what I learned from dragons. Oh, and by the way, dragons, if you guys want to understand like what they do in the galaxy, they're pretty much like guardians. You feel me? They're guardians of the galaxy, and they pretty much like they'll guard planets that are linked with their element. So a fire dragon might guard a lava planet, or like a water dragon might protect a water planet, or a earth dragon protects like a jungle planet. You feel me? Stuff like that. They also guard different kinds of knowledge and wisdom and stuff like that. They also guard different kinds of life force energy and stuff like that. They're pretty much guardians and also wisdom keepers. You feel me? And what they taught me was a lot about elements, life force, and their different qualities. Now it's different from the Zazmari because the Zazmari taught me about different kinds of life force that exist on different planes. So like physical energy, etheric energy, like things like that, right? With the dragons, it's more about like the life force of water, the life force of air. You feel me? The life force behind things like even love, you know? And I learned about how different elements combine to make other ones. You feel me? Like how fire, see, lightning could be made from a fire water connection, but also a fire air connection. You feel me? And those produce two different kinds of lightning, you know? Like with the water and fire, it's like channeling electricity. You feel me? With the with the fire and air, you're just making it. So one is channeling it, one is making it. You feel me? Love. I mean, water and fire cause the mix to become magma. You feel me? Fire and earth could become lava. Magma and lava are different because the magma is like the liquid fire, then lava and pasta that also has rock inside there and stuff like that too. So I learned a lot about elements and their different qualities and life force energy and kind of like how different elements mix and also how they affect your mental states, emotional states, and stuff like that. I learned a lot about that, you know. They also taught me a lot about how to stand in my own power and be assertive when need be, but not overly aggressive. Kind of just how to like feel my power, stand in that power, and be assertive with that power in the proper situations without going overboard. You feel me? They also taught me how to go with the flow and follow my own inner flame. When it comes to this thing called like the way of the dragon, it's like dragons form of spirituality. Pretty much the way of the dragon is that dragons kind of just follow their flame. Their flame, right? Because dragons have a dragon flame, right? Dragon flames are pretty much a dragon's life force. That is when a dragon flame is pretty much a dragon's life force, and it does looks like a flame, and it's like a concentration of that dragon's life force. And when it's fully activated, it grants the dragon certain powers. And when dragons die, it's said that their spirit, quote unquote, returns to the flame. So if you get a dragon flame from a dragon, you also can merge with the spirit of that dragon. You feel me? Now, with that being said, dragon flames are the life force of a dragon, and your life force is responsible for like your thoughts and your emotions. You feel me? So when it comes to a dragon's life force, they kind of just follow the guidance of their life force. Wherever they feel they should go, they go. Wherever they think they should do, they just kind of just do it. They don't really plan too hard. Some dragons do plan more than others, but when those dragons plan, it's the flame making them plan. You feel me? So it's like I kind of just learn how to go with the flow and follow my own life force and what it's kind of drawing me to do. You feel me? They also taught me a lot about the power of being alone and relying on your own strength, because although dragons will definitely have groups, you feel me? A lot of dragons like to be alone. And being alone makes them have to become more powerful and strong because they don't have a group to rely on. You feel me? And when it comes to me being alone, like I get inside these moods a lot where like I want to be inside my own cave and not talk to no one, to kind of just be in my own energy. And when I'm inside these states, I also feel very powerful because it's like I'm alone around my own energy, harnessing my own energy. And a lot of times when dragons are alone, dragons, when they're alone, they are alone in a spot that matches their elemental quality. So a lava dragon is going to be chilling inside a volcano type shit. It's gonna be building up that volcano lava energy. You feel me? Um, a water dragon is going to chill inside the ocean, building more water energy. So whenever I'm by myself and inside my own energy, it's like I also have the ability to kind of increase my own energy and increase my own power, and I don't feel the need to depend on other people. I know that I could do whatever I need to do by myself without the help of nobody. You feel me? So that's kind of what they taught me, like how to kind of like the power of being alone and how to rely on my own strength. And then the last thing I'll say is they taught me a lot about how to harness and increase my own individual power and life force, which I kind of mentioned. You know, it's like being alone and being around a certain like being alone in my own energy and being around certain elemental energies will allow me to increase that elemental life force inside of myself. You feel me? But also kind of just increasing the power like of like my own spirit, like drawing more of my spirit inside my physical body and activating more of its essence. I've learned a lot about that and kind of like how to harness that energy more. You feel me? So yeah, dragons taught me a lot about like that. That's a lot of things. They taught me way more things, but that's like some of like the base shit. Cause like even when it comes to like stuff like I learned a lot about time from dragons. Real talk. Like my time dragon, my celestial dragon taught me a lot about time. You feel me? But I'll just I think I'm gonna just leave that right there. You feel me? Now it's time for the last race. One of my motherfucking favorites for real. Yeah, man. Last but most definitely not least, my guy and my girl for the females. We have the Inakata and the Inataka. This one's the Inakata. This one's the Inataka, right? So let me explain, like, kind of like how I discovered these beings. So when it comes to my life on Earth, right? Literally one day in the astral, these beings just like the Inakata, you feel me? They just pulled my fault, the Inataka. These are Inakata. The Inataka. They just pulled up on me, bro. Literally, I was in the astral and I was like in like this class. And on the class they had like this big giant board, right? and they had different gods and pantheons of gods, but not gods like in religion, because gods in religion usually are just personified cosmic forces and aspects of yourself. These gods are immortal beings that can manipulate various different dimensions and forces on various different planes. Dimensions like length, width, height, time, space, light, sound, gravity, you feel me? The Inataka could do all that shit. You know, they pretty much make whole ass realities and manipulate realities. You feel me? Now, with that being said, I was seeing them on this board, like all the different kinds and different pantheons and shit. That board was big as shit. Even seeing that, it made me feel like crazy. Like my solar plexus, it felt like there was gonna like be a energy that just detaches from my solar plexus, right? And then after like that whole class shit, it's like I was back laying on my bed, but I wasn't in the physical plane. I was in like the etheric astral, you feel me? And then the beings kind of pulled up, and it's like they was gonna like kind of like pull me up in a way, but I was like, yo, I cannot take this energy. It literally felt like I was about to die. It felt like, imagine like you know the whole silver cord. There is no silver cord, but imagine there was. It felt like I had a silver cord in my solar plexus, and like my shit was about to fully fucking detach, and I'm about to just fucking float the fuck off and never fucking return. That's what it felt like. You feel me? And I remember after the experience, first of all, I was just fucking astonished. You feel me? I was like, oh my god. You feel me? But at some point, I asked him, I'm like, yo, why did it feel like that? And they said some at one point I knew the exact words, but it was something along the lines of the reason you felt that way is because you're feeling our ability to completely decimate you at the snap of a finger. And I was like, damn, nigga. Like, okay, fuck your power, my nigga. Like, what the fuck? You feel me? And then from there, the Inataka was teaching me about the Inakata. And I was learning about this planet called Lexion, which is, well, really, Lexion's a whole entire star system with several different planets, you feel me? That's inside the Aquarius constellation. And then these beings actually eventually went to Kepler 22b, you feel me? But that's like a whole different fucking topic for a whole different video. Long story short, I learned a lot about Lexion, like their home planet, and how pretty much the Inakata came from the Inataka. The Inakata share a direct lineage with the Inataka. Pretty much the Inataka did what the Alberians and the Zosmari did. You feel me? They went from being these higher god beings to pretty much lowering themselves as like these demigod ET aliens. You feel me? Now when it comes to my past lives, um honestly, when it comes to my past lives, I connected with the Inataka mainly during my Antares lifetimes, because my Antares lifetimes is when I started tapping into like my whole entire celestial god form and stuff like that, which dealt with the Inataka and shit, and I learned a lot about like how this shit is built on like a more in-depth level. Like it was wild as fuck. But with the Inakata, I actually interacted with them pretty early, kind of early. I interacted with them in Xylanthia, and also, well, Xylanthia, Sextans, and Kepler 22b, because they came to Kepler 22b at some point. They also came to Xylanthia, and they went to Sextans. By the way, Xylanthia is a galaxy, and the scientific name is Sextans A, and that galaxy leads to the constellation Sextans. You feel me? When certain niggas from Xylanthia started coming to Sextans, the pretty much it was black niggas in Xylanthia that came to Sextons, and then the Inakata pulled up and said, "Y'all niggas damn near kinfolk, twinfolk, let's merge and stuff like that," you know. So yeah, because the Inakata, because there's like two kinds of Inakata in a way. There's the Inakata that come directly from the gods, And then there's the Inakata who raised themselves up to the status of Inakata by connecting with the gods. So like the black niggas, the black people in Xylanthia, right? Like every black ET, and not even just black ones, even Lyrans are linked to the fucking Inataka, you feel me? The Inataka do not just look like fucking black people, you feel me? There are Inataka like Ariel and Aaron that could look like they're white, but they're still part of the Inataka, you feel me? Because they're the children of Ina, which is a godhead. Learned a lot about godheads and shit like that, right? What godheads are and shit. You feel me? Any godheads are beings that form out of the chaos of infinity. Then they help to structure. They help to structure the divine universal template. You feel me? Which the divine universal template kind of structures infinite chaos. It makes it into like a certain kind of order, which realities can then form from. Because now there's no more infinite chaos. But anyway, um, long story short, Xylanthians, right? The black niggas in Xylanthia were linked to the Inataka, but they weren't like consciously connecting with them. You feel me? So when the Inakata pulled up and they merged with them, they could actually eventually connect with the Inataka and then raise themselves up to the level of the Inakata. Like also with the Anunnaki, the Anunnaki could also get on their level too. You feel me? So you could either be a Inakata that came directly from the gods, or you could become one by raising yourself up to the level of Inakata by connecting with the gods and kind of becoming like a demigod in a way. You feel me? But yeah. When it came to the Inakata, here's what they taught me, right? Because nowadays, they're like my homies and shit like that. You feel me? And they taught me a lot about Ikane. Ikane is like their religion spiritual system. You feel me? Ikane pretty much deals with gaining knowledge of yourself in all things by being able to connect with your spirit and the spirit behind all things. I wrote about Ikane in my notes. I wonder how I wrote about it in my notes. I wanna see what I said. I said the with Ikane you're able to sense the spirit behind all things. The purpose is to be able to sense your own spirit along with the spirit behind the things around you, so that way you can understand them as well as connect. My fault, because it says as well as, okay, so you could oh, my fault, I see what I was trying to say. The purpose is to be able to sense your spirit along with the spirit behind things around you so you can understand them as well as the connection which they have to your spirit. So with the Kane, right, it's first about gaining knowledge of yourself by connecting with your own spirit. You connect with your spirit, now you understand yourself more. And now you can connect with the spirit of things outside of you to understand things outside of you. And also, you can see how those things outside of you interact with your spirit. Because, for example, your spirit actually helps to craft your timeline for this earth. You feel me? But your spirit could also co create with other people, for example. Like your spirit helps to make your timeline, and then your friend's spirit helps to make your friend's timeline. But you and your friend's spirit co created for you guys' timelines to interlink and for y'all two to become friends. You feel me? So, with that being said, when you tap into the spirit behind the things in your environment, you kind of also understand how those things in your environment interact with your spirit. And you also kind of just understand your environment better altogether. And then at some point, you even begin to gain a certain sense of control over that thing as you understand it more, which is how they start to do demigod like shit. You feel me? Like they may connect with the intelligence behind a fucking rock. Now they understand the fucking rock, the formation of it, all this shit, to the point where they could fucking manipulate the rock and fucking levitate that bitch. You feel me? It'd be shit like that. They could fucking walk into a whole different like environment, like with planets, right? When they go to different planets, they immediately connect with the spirit of the planet. And even though the planet has its own spirit, there's also several smaller spirits that are linked to that bigger spirit, because different, like, you may have a lava part of the planet, right? One planet may have like a giant volcano with lava. One part of the planet might be like a fucking island. One part of the planet might be like a fucking desert, you know? And every environment kind of has its own spirit behind it, which is linked to the spirit of the planet. And when the Inakata are able to connect with that spirit, they could understand it, how to operate with inside that environment, and also how to begin manipulating it. You feel me? So they taught me a lot about like all that shit, you know? Now with the Inataka, they taught me a lot about how realities are made, like how different realities are made, how different realms are made, and also how to manipulate them. You feel me? So it was mainly about like how to control different dimensions like sound, time, gravity, light, things like that. They also taught me a lot more about different arc verses. See, the Octorians did teach me heavily about the structure of reality, right? Like the different planes and stuff like that. You feel me? But the Inataka taught more about the different arc verses, like how you have an omniverse, and how this omniverse has different layers. You have the universe, the multiverse, the megaverse, the metaverse, the superverse, and there's also a hidden arc verse that's called the hyperverse. You know, and this really was like some godlike shit, because the formation of the omniverse and how you even got the universe and multiverse, all this shit deals with God shit. You feel me? But yeah, they taught me a lot about that shit, and how they made the different realms, like the different infinite eternal realms and temporal realms and stuff like that, you know? They taught me a lot about like how to manifest, mainly from the sense of like how to create a reality for yourself and manifest it. You feel me? They also taught me a lot about how to kind of live from source and communicate with source. Now here's what I mean. They they essentially taught me how to live from the perspective of like me being source, of me being God, and also how to kind of like speak to source and how to speak to God. You feel me? Really interesting, and it's kind of like, and this kind of deals with the whole like interfacing with reality stuff that also mixes with manifestation, because it's like with the Autorians, they taught me how to like mentally hook up to reality and kind of like how to communicate with it like that. You feel me? When it comes to the Inataka, it's more about like how to connect with source, and since reality is just like source's body manifested, or like a small fraction of source's body manifested. It's like if you become source, you become all of reality. Hence, you're linked with all of reality, and now you can kind of talk to reality because you are that. And whatever you create for yourself kind of manifests in reality, because you are reality choosing to manifest yourself. It's kind of like that. It might be that might be a bit trippy, but yeah. And yeah, and that's also why I said with this video that it's really kind of like seven races that I mentioned, because I'm doing the Inakata and the Inataka, then I did the Alberians and the Zazmara, you feel me? But it's like, yeah, I think that's it for this video. I'm gonna definitely do a part two. I'm gonna mention the Anuhazi inside that one, the Ashkenadi for sure. I gotta think about three more. I do like the Andromedans a lot. Might do them. I don't know. I'm gonna see how that. I'm gonna see how that shit turn out. You feel me? But oh, I want to mention Dragons again real quick, because I didn't really mention my connection with them, like how I interact with them now. Um, Nowadays when it comes to dragons, I use them a lot when I may use them to like go on missions with me, or to just teach me about like a new elemental quality or something like that, or like they may be like my guardians or something like that. You feel me? The Inataka and Inakata, mainly the Inataka, they're like my god teachers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Um. Lyrans, their family. Arcturians, they're like, it's like I kind of work with them to kind of like help to like oversee different timelines and manage timelines and shit like that. You feel me? They still teach me different things too. They're like heavy time teachers nowadays. You feel me? Um, but I usually work with them. You feel me? Zazmari, Alberians. I don't really interact with them as much anymore, but they were essentially like, yeah, teachers, and I'd work with them too. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I might be missing something, bro. I don't know. I hope I'm not missing something. You feel me? I think I'm done the video right here. So yeah, I love you all. Catch my next video. Like this video. Subscribe if you're new. All my links are down below. If you guys want to connect with your like ET family, I do have Galactic Akashic readings down below that can help you guys understand your galactic origins, where your soul comes from, or different star systems that your soul comes from, different beings that you're connected with, how you interacted with them, different abilities that you have with them, and stuff like that. How that all wraps into your Earth mission and stuff like that. I have so much stuff down below. So just check your boy out. I love you all. I'm gonna catch you in my next video. Like the video. Subscribe if you're new. I'm gonna catch y'all. Peace the freak out.